Why grow microgreens? Well, microgreens are really easy to grow. They don't require a lot of time, they don't require a lot of resources, and they grow really quick. I started some the end of January and I'm already harvesting them. So they are a quick crop. They can be grown in limited space. If you live in an apartment or you just don't have a lot of space in your house, this is something you can grow in your window. So you don't have to have a grow light cart or a lot of space to do this. Microgreens are a great source of vitamins, minerals, fiber, and antioxidants, so they are really healthy for you. To get started, there are some supplies that you will need. You need a propagation tray, or if you purchase your meat at a store, you can use the meat trays, but be sure you punch holes in the bottom of it so you have good drainage. You also need some soil media or seed starting mix. And in the photo in this slide, you can see the seed starting mix that I use. So that is what I have been using to start various seeds in the last few weeks. Then you need to use some seeds. And in the photo here, I show you packages of microgreen seed, but you can use just like a package of beet seed or cilantro seed or radish seed. You don't necessarily have to have a package of seed labeled microgreens. So there's a lot of other things that you can use for microgreens. You have to have a water source and then lighting. So lighting is important, but because these plants grow so quickly, you could put them in your window. So if you have a window sill, you could put them there. And you're going to have microgreens ready to eat within 2 to 3 weeks. So if they get a little spindly, they grow toward that window or that light, that's okay. Or if you have grow lights, that's perfectly fine too. So we do like to use grow lights to have nice, compact, stocky, thick stem plants. But with microgreens, you're going to harvest them after just a couple weeks. So it is okay if they have a little bend and they're bending toward the light. So you want to take your tray and you want to fill it with soil. And with microgreens, because they grow so fast and you're going to harvest them pretty quick, you do not need a lot of soil. So just the depth of a meat tray is fine. Or if you're using a propagation tray, don't feel like you need to fill it all the way up to the top. Make sure that you wet that soil. So what I've been doing is I either fill my propagation tray with soil and then get it wet, and I use my hands to work it all in and get it evenly moist. But I've also used like a mixing bowl, and I put the media in the mixing bowl, get it wet, and I use my hands to work it up, and then I put it in my propagation trays, or I've been using cell packs on some of the things I've started. So that's a way you can do it. With the microgreens, you want to evenly plant the seeds in the tray. And you want to check your package to see if maybe they need to be pre-soaked. So with some of our seeds, you do need to pre-soak them to have better germination. And also some seeds may need to go in the refrigerator for a couple of days and be stratified so they can break dormancy. So do read the package for the directions. After you have planted your seeds, you want to moisten them and then cover them with a dome. So I covered my microgreens I planted a couple weeks ago with a dome, and I've not watered them since then because there was enough moisture in there that I did not need to water. And you do not want to overwater your seeds because you can get fungal growth and they can die. So by putting that dome on, you're holding in the moisture, and that may be enough from the time you start until the time you harvest. You can use a heating mat, but again, read the package directions because some of our seeds do not require a heating mat. Some of our cool season seeds will not need a heating mat, but then there are others that will germinate faster if you do use a heating mat. So the best advice I can give you is to read the package directions. It is recommended to keep the seeds in a dark environment for a few days to facilitate the germination process. But then there are some seeds that they need to be under light. So again, read the package directions to see if you need to put them in a dark location or if you actually need to just put them right under the lights. And I will tell you, the microgreens that I started a few weeks ago, I did not put in a dark location. I just put them out there under a grow light, and I was harvesting microgreens last night, actually. After the seeds germinate, you want to place them near a window or under light. That is, if you've had them in darkness and you're pulling them out. You want to water them, like I had said, only if necessary. You may not need to water, okay? You don't want excess moisture in there with your seedlings because you can get mold development, and then they may get a disease called damping off, and then you won't have anything to harvest. And a fan can be used to provide airflow. So it is important for the soil to not be too wet. If you're noticing your soil is getting really wet on whatever seed you're growing, whether it be microgreens or petunia seed, you might want to run a fan to provide some airflow. This is a tray of microgreens that I grew a few years ago. You can see that I did not have a grow light and they did become spindly, but hey, that's okay because we're harvesting them in only 2 or 3 weeks. So if your plants end up looking like this, it's okay. Harvest them and use them. The photo on the right shows you some microgreens I'm growing right now. I have them on an old grow light cart that is not very good, let's say, and they are spindly. And I cut some last night, and you can see I put them on this dish. So you can put microgreens on a lot of things. I put them on various meats, like a pork chop, or even on top of a hamburger. You can put them on chicken, just various meats that you make, or you can put them on top of soups and stews. So that's what you would use them for. Also consider putting them in omelets and on top of scrambled eggs. And when you cut your microgreens, they will have an aroma. You will smell them, and they are high in nutrients. So that's a reason why you'd want to grow them, is just to get those added nutrients. When harvesting the microgreens, use a sharp, clean knife, or you can use a pair of scissors. You can also just pinch them. So I just pinched mine off last night when I put them on top of that dish. So those are just some ways you can, again, harvest them. You can wash them. Likely they're not going to need washing, but you can wash them. And if you do, use them right away. They're like kind of like berries. When you wash them, they start going bad. So you want to wash and you want to eat right away. Now you can cut them and you can store them for later. So if you cut them, don't wash them, and then just store them in a plastic bag or in a container in your refrigerator. And then if you choose to wash, I would wash them when you go to use them. But don't ever wash them and then put them in the refrigerator wet. And again, this is regarding uses. And I had mentioned that they do have an aroma. They also have an intense flavor. So it will add a little flavor to whatever dish you're adding them to. They can add color, they can add texture. And like I already mentioned, they can be used in many ways. Some other things are salads. You can put them on top of your salad. You can put them in a wrap. I mentioned eggs. Sandwiches, if you're making a ham sandwich or a turkey sandwich or whatever it may be, just add them to your sandwich. Or in the mornings, maybe you're making a smoothie for breakfast. You can just throw your microgreens into your smoothie. And you can also use them as a garnish.